Hi, this is Sean, and this channel's called Wolf Dog Moon. And on today's episode of Comic Book Realms, we're going to discuss and review the Uncanny X-Men number 222. So if you like this kind of content, smash that like button, subscribe to our channel for more, ring the bell for notifications, comment down below, and share with your friends. Alright, let's get into this one. Alright, so if you've seen our previous episodes of the Comic Book Realms, where we delve into different awesome issues of comic books, then you know how this is going to go. But if not, I'll just give you a quick recap. We're going to do a spoiler-free section and then a spoiler section. So we're going to do the spoiler-free section first, so that once you get through that section, if you want to go get this issue for yourself, you can do so without potentially being spoiled. And that way you can pick it up at a comic convention, or order it online, or go to a secondary store where you can find this issue, and or a flea market or something. And then you can read this for yourself and then come back here. That's what we encourage you to do, and watch the rest of the review. Or otherwise, you can stay to the end to see how epic this comic book issue is, and then you could add this to your collection. Alright, let's get into this. So, again, we have here, I'm going to give you a kind of a close-up of, first of all, we have the corner over here again, and this is the sequel to the last issue that we did, issue 221. On our channel, so definitely encourage you to go check that one out for more context. Otherwise, this one in the corner here, we got Dazzler, Longshot, Havoc, and Psylocke. So they're kind of like new members to the X-Men, and they're also rookies in a lot of ways. Now Havoc is Cyclops' brother, but for all intents and purposes, he's treated as a rookie. And in this issue especially, and in the previous one. So they're all rookies trying to find their way as members of the X-Men. And right off the bat here, we have this epic cover where Wolverine's taking on Sabretooth. And in a lot of ways, this is like a mirror match where, Sabretooth is kind of the antithesis of Wolverine. He's Wolverine without the morals. Like, Wolverine has a moral code. He's a hero on the hero's journey, and Sabretooth is not. Sabretooth is a primal, savage warrior, and he's out for blood, and he has a bloodlust like a animal. So, whereas Wolverine can tame that savage beast within inside of him. So, and within. So we got, right off the bat, we got this epic cover. And again, encourage you to go see the previous issue, but I'll just do a short recap, because this is the previous issue ended with a cliffhanger, and this one just goes right into the action and takes place right after that other issue. Okay, sorry about that. I had to stop. Our reel in the background started playing the music. And so please just disregard that. Sorry about that. So let's continue here. So yeah, this takes place right after the cliffhanger of the previous issue, where you have the Marauders, this force of thug-like villains they're assassins, they're nasty, and they're killers. They're hired contract killers, and they're adult in that way. And so they're trying to hunt down this woman called Madeline Pryor and kill her. And so they're working for this guy named Mr. Sinister. And so they end up running into the X-Men. Wolverine is the leader right now. Storm is on a spirit type journey in order to find this man called Forge. She is journeying through this kind of like sort of western landscape, and with an Indian, and the Indian's leading her to this man called Forge in order for her to reclaim her powers. So that's also a backdrop in this issue. She's still very much the leader of the X-Men, but without her powers and stuff, it's more important for her to go on this kind of pilgrimage on her own and try to reclaim her powers so that she can be a more effective X-Men and leader. In the meantime, Wolverine has been put and thrust in charge he's been given the mantle of leadership, and he's a seasoned, experienced warrior and fighter, and he's been around for a long time. So and he's been in many epic battles with the X-Men, and now he essentially is in charge, but of a lot of rookies and young talent that are trying to figure themselves out and their powers and contribute to the X-Men and their missions. And but Wolverine is a no-nonsense, take charge, attack first and ask questions later, and kind of leader. And so the other members can quickly chafe under his leadership. And in addition to that, he knows that the Marauders and, for example, Sabretooth, they're killers. They're not, when you're going against them, you can't be cute about it. You're not playing around. You're not kind of being cute like some other kinds of superhero comics, such as like Spider-Man, where the villains, he's just at the end of the comic, he's gonna put the webs around them and leave them for the authorities. That's not the case with this type of thing. This is a lot edgier, and these guys are killers. They're not playing around, and they're out for blood. So that's very much the backdrop of this issue. So it takes place firmly after the events of the previous issue. Hold on one second, please. Okay, and then the other thing with these Marauders, their powers all like debilitating type powers. There's nothing cute about their powers. One of them's called Vertigo, and her powers just disorient and make you sick and just feel horrible, like you'd rather die than be subjected to what she's doing. And then some of the others are just as bad, and one of them happens to be Havoc's wife, and she's been possessed demonically and changed into this character called Malice. And before that, her name was Polaris, and so she's able to manipulate metal parts and stuff. And so there's that conflict going on too. So there's multiple layers of conflict in this. You have individual personal struggles between Havoc and his wife, and then you have Dazzler and Rogue are still kind of at odds, and then you have Wolverine trying to he feels like a babysitter, you can tell, and that has to put these other rookies in danger, and he has to kind of live with the consequences of that. And then you have Storm going on this spirit journey. So that's the epicness of this comic book. So this will end the spoiler-free section of the video. And thanks for joining us if you're not going to stay around after this. But we do encourage you to come back for the next part. So, okay, so this ends the spoiler-free section. Now we're going to get into the spoiler section. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of page through this comic and show you and discuss some of the marquee moments and stuff. And just so that you can get an awesome impression on this comic. And you might want to go add it to your collection. All right, let's do it. So we're going to jump right into this now. And so right off the bat, you get this, the episode is, or I'm going to call it episode, but this issue, it starts off and it's called Heartbreak. And right away, you know that, okay, this Polaris lady has shown up because you have Dazzler and Rogue. Dazzler had just rescued Rogue. And so they're kind of exhausted. Like Dazzler is exhausted and Rogue nearly died. And so this Polaris lady shows up, who is Havoc's wife. And so this issue is called Heartbreak. And it's a fitting title for this issue because there's a lot, and also how this issue ends and stuff. And so With this X-Men series, you really get an edgy version of a comic book, and also the characters. They have a lot of depth because of the realism in terms of how they're perceived by other people, like regular folk, and also how they interact and stuff. And also, they act like regular people in terms of their lingo and stuff. They have an edgy streetwise. They talk like 80s and 90s kids did, and the 20 somethings and stuff. So they don't talk like just generic comic book speak. These people feel like real people in the way that how they react, and they have snarky comebacks, and also edgy lines and stuff. So it's pretty cool that they did that with this particular series. I like, right here we have a Stan Lee presentation starring the Uncanny X-Men. Again, we have Chris Claremont as the writer, and then we have Mark Silvestri and Dan Green as the pencil and inkers, and then down here's the rest of the folk that contribute. Now, this Mark, I like his style of drawing. It is kind of like I feel like it's like an advertising style of drawing. Like the women look very much like models and stuff, and they have an edginess to the way they dress. So there's like a fashion marketing style to the way they're drawn and stuff. And I do like that. It fits with the realism and the edginess of the Uncanny X-Men and this iteration of them. So we have Polaris showing up to spoil these two's day. And right away, what's cool is she gets blasted by Havoc. And up to this point, Havoc still doesn't know that, okay, Polaris is part of the Marauders and is one of the ones that's actively trying to kill them. So he just blasts somebody that's threatening his fellow X-Men. And so she gets blasted in the back, and then they know who she is, Rogue and Dazzler, and so they immediately try to take her to safety and stuff. And I like this cool little section. We have a gag right here where, okay, this guy doesn't believe in any of this hogwash with the the superheroes and all this stuff, and then some fly right by him and he's shocked by it, and it's very humorous and stuff. So they end up on the beach, and then the police are working with the X-Men and the other members and stuff, and so you have these cool edgy type characters that are inserted. You have kind of like a this is like Clint Eastwood, basically, Dirty Harry. This guy acts like Dirty Harry from the movies, and then so you have like that kind of edginess, or it feels a little bit like the movie Lethal Weapon and stuff. And again, I like how the women are drawn. They're very sexy and like fashion model in the way that they're drawn. So we have Psylocke trying to probe the minds of the different enemies and to figure out what their motivations are. And then so they're just they got fans on the beach, which is kind of neat and funny, and they're Japanese. So you have these Japanese kids. They have books full of these different X-Men characters or whatever, real life heroes for them, and so they could get their autograph or whatever. And the women are drawn very sexy, and they're very tall in the way that they're drawn. They all look like that they're well over close to at least 5'10", and they're like model-esque in that way. They're all drawn like, Rogue in this one looks like she could be 6 feet tall. So that's interesting in that way. So we still have Dazzler trying to figure out her place in the X-Men and how she should use her powers. And what's cool, she just goes on this. Her powers work with light and sound, and so she just sucks the sound from everything around her in the environment and stuff. And you have these cool hip-hop type guys and stuff playing their jukebox or the boom box and stuff, and she's just having a good old time, and it's very colorful and stuff. and she's just happy-go-lucky in that way, drawing all. She has to recharge her powers, her batteries, so to speak. Pretty cool in that way. Over here, you got a cool ad for some Forgotten Realms. Now, we do role-playing game reviews on our channel as well, so we encourage you to go check those out for more context and stuff. But I used to love these ads and stuff, and when I grew up, we played a lot of role-playing games, the Dungeons and Dragons style. So right away, Daz is just going bananas, and so Havoc, he has to run over kind of like the, and I'm going to pause this, just bear with me for a second. Myra let you know what she thinks. That's that sound that you just heard, her chinking her collar. She has to do that every time I'm doing a video. Alright, so yeah, we have Dazzler, and he acts like a little bit like a nerd, where he is gonna yell at the other. He's sort of given himself the role of like, he's gonna make sure people follow Wolverine's orders or whatever. He acts like a nerd in that way, so he runs over and tries to stop her in her happy time that she's having. And so then he stumbles upon his wife Polaris, and she's nasty. Look at this. She wakes up, and this is what she says. And she's drawn in such a nasty way, almost like a female version of the Joker, or like Harley Quinn. She's just out to cause him heartbreak, and she just blasts him. So right away, you know something's up with that. So she's acting out of character and stuff from who he knows her to be. So then we shift over to back to Storm on her spirit journey and stuff, and it's awesome how it's done. She's wondering how she's gonna accomplish this goal, and she's trying to find the faith and the will to keep going, because there's like a not only a spiritual quality. What she's doing is like a metaphysical quality, where she doesn't she's going through like a physical plane, but she has to find her way to kind of a plane in between, and that's where this Forge character is waiting, and what that will mean, she's not sure. And she also has feelings for Forge, I believe, at this point. So she's forced to reckon with a lot of different issues. And then she's with this Indian guy, and he has his own agenda, and his agenda is very self-serving, and he wants Storm to be his lover, and he wants to have complete control of her. So ultimately, he's trying to help her, but his own goals at the same time. And but she wants to put her faith and trust in this guy, and he's kind of rude and a little bit crass too. So we have that, and then what's cool right away, they're out in the middle of nowhere, and Storm's wondering, why can't we just get a Jeep or something and make our way? And the Indian essentially says, this journey has to be difficult, and so we can't be using convenience things to make it less of a burden. So right away, this woman comes running over screaming and stuff, and kind of like a horror movie where she's running from something, but they're in the middle of nowhere. They're trying, like I said before, they're trying to find this kind of world in between, and so they're on a spirit journey, and then out of nowhere, this woman runs over and stuff, and so they're heroes and stuff, so they want to protect everyone. But right away it goes awry, and a rock is thrown at them and stuff, and then right away this woman is not what she appeared to be, and they were caught completely off guard. And it's like kind of like their own goals of being a hero and stuff kind of makes them a little bit myopic sometimes, where they don't see the obvious danger or oddity of somebody just appearing out of nowhere and needing help or whatever. And so right away they're thrust into this epic confrontation. I mean, again, Storm has no powers, so she gets thrown by this woman. So this woman is, again, not what she appears, and she has massive strength and just horrendous evil. She just throws Storm and is like, let's see what happens. I'm just going to throw you at this rock and stuff. And Storm's able to kind of twist her body using all the training that she had acquired from the Danger Room and her time as Storm of the X-Men, where she had powers. And so right away, this woman has another brother with her. And right away, they're attacking with all these strange powers and stuff. And so Storm is fighting for her life. And this is an epic confrontation. And so also this woman, she has horrible powers where she can just siphon your life force off. So this is some kind of demonic entity. It's horrible. And Storm's able to find the will to keep fighting, and she gets this lady off of this Indian guy, and she ends up in the flames and stuff, and the flames cause this transformation into this woman's true form, which this is like a hideous combination of owl, a bear, and a snake. And it's just a horrific demonic creature, and they call themselves the Eye Killers. And so they're just these demonic creatures that fire, they're cleansed by fire in a lot of ways. And so Storm is fighting for her life, and they're trying to take these two demonic creatures down, and they're using the fire to do it. And again, Storm has no powers, so she's relying on raw, knowledge and tactics of fighting that she's acquired in the past and stuff, and just intense courage. She's just pulling courage out and stuff, and she's just gonna fight and stuff. I mean, this is an epic picture right here. This thing's like a bear. It's so nasty, and it starts to siphon her life force, and the Indian keeps rescuing Storm. So they're building up like a trust in each other as this is going on. Even though, like I told you, we know when we're reading the comic that this guy's no good. He's got his own agenda and stuff. But Storm is trusting him more and more. They're building up a very close bond. And she has this awesome, she pulls out this dagger. And I mean, this alone right here is so epic. She says, no speed, less strength, but by all I hold sacred, I shall not be found wanting. And she stabs it. And then she grabs it. This drawing is awesome. It's very evocative of this character and the transformation that she's trying to go through. She picks this demonic thing up and she heaves it into the fire to be cleansed. She says, let flames consume them. If the fire is what these horrors fear, let flames consume them. It's awesome. And then this Indian, he's throwing fire and stuff because he knows what these things are. They've been around since the time of the Indians, when they were running around the Americas and stuff in this continent. And he remembers that the Indians were made to be slaves by these demonic creatures and stuff. So at the end of this, you have this awesome picture. I love this picture of Storm. She's saying that the Indian asks, I think his name is Naze. Naze asks, are you okay? And she says, alive, hurt, but whole. And this right here, this picture to me sums up the Storm character throughout the X-Men history. Like, she has such inner spirit and strength, like, of will. And it wasn't just her powers that gave her that inner strength. She had that before. Like, before, when Professor X discovered her, she was living on the street in, I think, Africa on her own. She had learned to survive and stuff. And so you get this awesome image. The fire's going behind her. And then she's all scratched and her clothes are shredded. And there's blood on the knife. And this is just an awesome drawing. And the one criticism I have of these like 4 or 5 pages is they play up this idea that, okay, their screams are very terrible. these demonic creatures, but they have no sound effects in this section. So I don't know if this area they didn't have time to add the sound effects, but I would have liked to see those sound effects really played up and stuff like throughout this section, because then you'd have this kind of quiet moment as a result of all those sound effects. Maybe they end over here, and then you have this epic picture and just the quiet, just the flames flickering stuff. They destroyed those demons, so they depart and stuff. And then you have this awesome picture where she's really determined to do the right thing and eradicate these demonic creatures and stuff, and he's counting on that, this guy. So then we get back to the action between Polaris, who she's actually being possessed by this demonic presence, this entity called Malice. And so she's the kind of the leader of the Marauders, like she's the sort of the lieutenant for Mr. Sinister. And so when they go out in the field to do their killing or whatever, she's the leader. And so what's cool, as she's fighting and stuff, she's very cocky and crass and stuff, and it allows Psylocke to get into her head and figure out what's going on and stuff, and turn her back to herself. So for a moment, she's able to find the real herself. She desperately calls out to Havoc. It is a very heartbreaking moment, and she's kind of, what's going on? She doesn't know, but right away Vertigo attacks, and so Psylocke's not able to do any more to help that situation. And so this lady Polaris immediately just reverts back to this nasty, and you see the demonic, she has this weird idol type thing, you know, a necklace or choker or whatever, and it's controlling her through that. So they're very much battling, and Dazzler's doing some awesome stuff. Dazzler's really coming into her own in these last couple issues and stuff. She's really maturing and finding what it's like to be an X-Men and stuff. And so we have Havoc here. He's just desperate to get the love of his life back, and so he's very emo and very, it's very heartbreaking and stuff. And then we switch over to this interaction between Wolverine and some of the other X-Men, Longshot and stuff. So you have this Marauder right here. I think his name is Scalp Hunter, and he's nasty. He can make any weapon. He can make a weapon that'll kill anybody. It doesn't matter. And so he created this weapon. He's going to kill Rogue, but Longshot is always in the right place at the right time due to his special powers of luck, and he has like a magical quality to him. And so Wolverine is fighting, and they're duking it out and stuff, and you know, trying to protect this lady Madeline Pryor. And so Sabretooth gets into the action after this Scrambler guy. And again, like I said before, their powers, the Marauders, they're all debilitating. And so this Scrambler guy, when he touches someone, he scrambles their powers. So what he's hoping to do to Wolverine is make it so that his healing factor doesn't work and stuff, and he's not able to use his specialized senses to defeat his foes. But Wolverine's right away just slaps him away, because, you know, it doesn't diminish his strength and stuff. And so Sabretooth's there, one of Wolverine's arch nemesis, and he just immediately is out for blood against Wolverine. And so he attacks Wolverine in this moment of weakness. But there's this epic moment that happens really quick, and it's the cover of this issue. And so he punches Wolverine, and he's primal, but he's kind of stupid in a way, and Wolverine has adamantium skeleton, so it just is unbreakable. So this guy just breaks his hand trying to punch Wolverine. And so in his moment of distress, it's kind of humorous in a way, but right away the tone shifts quickly, because Wolverine is not playing around with these guys. He punches him in the chest and then releases his claws. They show it very subtly, and that's the cover of the issue. And then he just throws them away because he's not trying to kill them. He has bigger fish to fry. So they're still fighting and stuff. And this issue, they kind of, right away, the X-Men kind of go on the run and stuff. They're always on the run against these Marauders because, for all intents and purposes, with the exception of Wolverine, the rest of the X-Men, they're such rookies and underclassmen that they're outclassed and outmatched by these contract killers. These guys will come across more seasoned adults they're in their 40s and 50s and maybe even 60s. And these guys, like Rogue and stuff, she's like early 20s or something. And so, with the exception of Wolverine, the rest of them, they're just completely outmatched. And so Wolverine's running around wondering what he needs to do and how he can get these guys, these rookies, up to speed and keep them alive and stuff. So they have a couple humorous moments, but he's satisfied, Wolverine, because they've achieved their objective in this issue, and that's to protect this Madeline Pryor and bring her to safety. And although they don't know what Mr. Sinister and the Marauders want with her, they want to make sure that the Marauders aren't able to get their hands on her and do their dirty work. So this issue ends with heartbreak. You have Havoc, he's just in dismay and his heart is getting broken, and this lady's relishing in it. She has this like a level of lasciviousness, and she's just getting pleasure out of his pain and stuff. And so she just kicks him and says, "I'm done with you," and stuff. And he falls. What I find interesting, I was telling my son this, that the X-Men, they each have unique powers, but they're also not just regular people. Because look how far he falls, and he just lands, and he's fine. He gets right up. So they're not like, maybe he can still get killed by a bullet or whatever, but a fall like this is not going to take out an X-Men. So he's pleading with her and stuff, and he tries to blast her because he's so distraught. He just wants her to stop so she'll listen, but she won't. And so that's how this issue ends. It ends with heartbreak. And so the next one's called Omens and Portents. So I'll give you my final thoughts in a second, but this one ends with a really cool X-Mail. I used to love these where people would write in and discuss what they liked or didn't like about the previous issues and stuff. And I really encourage you to read these two in particular. They're really awesome read. So I'm going to wrap this one up with my final thoughts. This is an awesome issue. I really enjoy this version of the Uncanny X-Men, where you have them kind of fighting demonic forces and stuff. So you have this kind of like 50 issue arc with the Marauders, and also with Storm's spirit journey and stuff. And then eventually you get into these epic moments, and we'll do those on our channel, where you have kind of like a character like Psylocke. She really transforms, and they bring in a kind of an Asian style and an influence with that particular character. And there's a lot of other epic moments where new characters are introduced, and then you have again this awesome battle that's being waged against this Marauders and the Uncanny X-Men. And then in between you have that spirit journey that Storm is on, and how that's gonna bring all the X-Men together in a way, and also transform them and bring them along on this epic quest that unfolds over several issues and stuff. So definitely encourage you to pick up this issue of the Uncanny X-Men. I don't think you can go wrong with this series right here. So we hope that this video finds you having an awesome day, and we hope that you have a blessed day and that your spirits remain high. Signing out.